Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you have ever had someone in your life who genuinely loved you, who truly cared about you, and yet, for some reason, you felt yourself pulling away? Maybe you felt suffocated. Maybe you thought, they can't possibly love me if they really knew me. How many times have you had someone who genuinely cared about you, who wanted to love you deeply, and yet, for some reason, you pushed them away? Maybe you told yourself it was because you didn't need them, or that you were better off alone, but deep down you knew something was different. Something in you recoiled from the love they were offering. Today, we're going to explore the real reason behind this fear and why, when we push away the ones who truly care, we might just be sabotaging the very love we crave most. Today, we're going to tear down the walls we build around our hearts and understand why we sometimes reject the very love we desperately crave. When we find ourselves pulling away from someone who truly cares, the root often comes down to one painful, hidden truth. We are terrified of being seen. I'm not talking about being noticed for the good things, the accomplishments, the polished image we present to the world. I'm talking about being seen at our most vulnerable. When someone genuinely loves you, they don't just see the highlight reel. They begin to glimpse the raw footage, the fears, the insecurities, the parts of yourself you were taught to hide. And that exposure can feel like standing naked in the middle of a blizzard, totally unprotected. Deep inside, most of us carry a belief that if people really knew us, really saw our flaws and our doubts, they would leave. That belief creates an invisible wall between us and intimacy. We tell ourselves, if I push them away now, it'll hurt less than if they discover the truth later. We convince ourselves that independence is strength, that needing someone is weakness. But the truth is, it takes more strength to allow yourself to be fully seen and still stand there without running. The tragedy is that most of the time, the person who cares about you doesn't expect perfection. They aren't loving the version of you that you wish you could maintain. They are drawn to your heart, your authenticity, your soul. Yet if you don't believe you are enough at your core, no amount of reassurance from the outside will penetrate. You'll keep rejecting it, pushing it away, because deep down you don't feel worthy of being truly loved. You think, if they love me now, it's only because they don't really see me yet. And so you build walls higher, stronger, thicker, not realizing that with every brick you lay, you imprison yourself a little more. Avoidant love is not about not caring. It's about caring so much that the risk of pain becomes unbearable. So you armor up. You protect yourself with silence, distance, sarcasm, anger, anything that prevents someone from getting too close. But the irony is devastating. The very armor that you think keeps you safe is the thing that guarantees your loneliness. To be seen fully and loved fully, that is one of the deepest human needs. It's also one of the greatest fears, because real love doesn't just stroke your ego. It exposes your soul. And unless you are willing to be vulnerable, to let someone in beyond the mask, you will always find yourself pushing away the very people who could help you heal. When we push away the ones who care about us, it's often because we're not reacting to the present moment at all, we're reacting to the past. We are fighting old battles with new people. Somewhere back in our story, there was pain. Maybe it was a parent who wasn't consistent. Maybe it was a partner who betrayed us. Maybe it was friendships that ended in silence or cruelty. Whatever it was, that pain became a lesson burned into our nervous system. Love is dangerous. Trust leads to heartbreak. Caring too much means losing everything. The mind is a master at protecting you from pain. It builds patterns to keep you safe, but the problem is, it doesn't distinguish between past and present. It doesn't say, hey, this new person isn't the one who hurt you. It just sees someone getting close, and it sends the same alarm bells ringing. It tells you, don't trust this, don't believe in this, prepare for the hurt. So you start pulling away, not because the new person deserves it, but because the old pain demands it. Without realizing it, we start recreating the very dynamics we fear. We sabotage intimacy because it feels unfamiliar. We doubt loyalty because we've only known betrayal. We interpret simple acts of kindness as manipulation because we've been manipulated before. It's not the new person's actions that we're responding to. It's the echoes of old heartbreaks we haven't healed. Every smile, every touch, every honest word can feel like a setup, a trick, a trap. So we go cold. We distance ourselves. We protect the wounded child inside by acting like we don't need anyone. The tragedy is that in doing so, we rob ourselves of the love and connection we are actually craving. We're trying to heal an old wound by proving an old story true. That love always ends in pain, that people always leave, that we're better off alone. And so, without even meaning to, we push away the people who show up for us, who are willing to stand in the fire of our fears and still choose us. The past explains so much of our behavior, but it cannot be allowed to dictate our future. Every time someone loves you and you flinch away, you have a choice to stay trapped in the cycle of yesterday or to break free and choose a new path. Healing isn't about forgetting the wounds. It's about recognizing when your old battles are bleeding into new opportunities and having the courage to finally lay down your weapons. Another powerful reason we push away the ones who truly care is because control feels safer than connection. When you control the distance, you control the risk. When you keep people at arm's length, you believe you are protecting yourself from the potential chaos of real intimacy. You call the shots. You decide when to lean in and when to lean out. It feels like freedom. It feels like strength. But in truth, it's a prison you build for yourself, brick by brick, moment by moment, every time you say, I don't need anyone. Real connection is unpredictable. It's messy. It requires surrender, and surrender for many people feels like danger. Because when you surrender, you give someone the power to hurt you. You open yourself to being disappointed, to being rejected, to being misunderstood. You open yourself to outcomes you can't control, and for a person who has learned to survive through self-reliance, that kind of vulnerability feels like madness. Control gives the illusion of safety. It lets you believe you can manage your emotions by managing how close you let anyone get. If you never fully trust, then you can never be fully betrayed. If you never fully invest, then you can never fully lose. It's logical, it's even smart in a twisted kind of way, but it's also soul-crushing because love isn't logical. Love isn't a transaction you can manage from a distance. Love demands presence. It demands risk. It demands that you lean in even when every instinct screams at you to pull away. The heartbreaking reality is that the more you cling to control, the more isolated you become. The fortress you build to keep pain out also keeps joy out. The walls that protect you from heartbreak also block the very love your heart is starving for. You tell yourself you're strong because you don't need anyone, but strength isn't shutting people out. Strength is letting them in, knowing full well you might get hurt, and choosing to love anyway. There will never be a time when connection feels 100% safe. There will never be a guarantee that you won't get hurt, but the absence of risk is the absence of life. If you're always in control, you're not really living, you're just surviving. The greatest moments of your life will come from the times you chose connection over fear, vulnerability over certainty, love over control. At the end of the day, the truth is this: we are not pushing love away because we don't want it. We are pushing it away because somewhere deep inside, we believe we are safer without it. We are terrified of being seen for who we really are, not the polished version, not the success story, but the messy, complicated, vulnerable soul underneath it all. And yet, that is exactly the part of us that craves connection the most. The fear of being seen and rejected is one of the deepest fears a human can carry, but the cost of letting that fear dictate our lives is devastating. Because in protecting ourselves from pain, we also shield ourselves from joy, intimacy, and true belonging. We are not only fighting the fear of being seen, We are fighting ghosts from the past. We walk into new relationships dragging old wounds like heavy luggage we forgot we were carrying. Every betrayal, every abandonment, every broken promise from our history whispers in our ear, this will end the same way. And unless we consciously recognize this pattern, we relive the same heartbreak over and over, even when the person in front of us has done nothing to deserve it. Healing begins when we understand that while our pain may have been inevitable, our future does not have to be a carbon copy of our past. We have the power to respond differently, to open differently, to love differently. Control becomes our coping mechanism. We cling to it because it offers the illusion of security. If we stay behind walls, we can manage expectations, manage disappointment, manage risk. But love does not live in management. Love lives in surrender. It lives in the messy, beautiful chaos of letting go. Control might keep the hurt away temporarily, but it also keeps the miracles away. It keeps the breakthroughs away. It keeps the very transformation we are seeking at arm's length. The life you are craving does not exist behind the walls you are so determined to maintain. It exists on the other side of your willingness to let those walls fall. You were not designed to live half-hearted, half-open, half-connected. You were built for full aliveness. You were built to experience the breathtaking joy of being seen and loved for exactly who you are. No masks, no armor, no defenses. You were not given this life to survive it. You were given this life to live it wide open. To risk, to feel, to hurt sometimes, yes, but to experience love so deep and powerful that it changes you at the cellular level. The risk of love is real, but so is the reward. The cost of playing it safe is a lifetime of regret far heavier than any heartbreak you might endure. So today, I challenge you not just to understand why you push people away, but to make a different choice. To be brave enough to be seen, to be strong enough to fight the battles of the past without letting them destroy the beauty of the present, to give up the illusion of control and embrace the wild, unpredictable, glorious experience of real connection. You deserve that kind of life. You deserve that kind of love. Tear down the walls, drop the armor. Stand in your truth and let someone love you, not the perfect version of you, but the real one. Because that's where life begins. That's where love wins. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for having the courage to listen not just with your mind, but with your heart. If something in this message spoke to you, it's because there's a part of you ready to grow, ready to heal, and ready to love in a way you may have never allowed yourself to before. Remember, the journey of breaking down walls and letting love in isn't something you have to walk alone. Every step you take toward vulnerability, every time you choose connection over fear, you are rewriting your story into one of power, freedom, and deep fulfillment. And that, my friends, is a journey worth taking. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to reflect on it, share it, live it, because change doesn't happen when we only hear something powerful. It happens when we act on it. So take what moved you today and use it to build a life filled with more courage, more connection, and more love than you ever thought possible. I'm deeply grateful you chose to be here, to show up, to listen with open hearts. Stay bold, stay real, stay willing to lean into the beautiful messiness of love and life. Thank you, and goodbye for now, but remember, the real journey starts the moment this talk ends.